Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Imam Sahib is saying that we are continuing with the topic of salat in this dars of Hadith. In this matter, there are many aspects which we have to reflect deeply upon, and we should keep in our focus. And as far as the beginning of the salat is concerned, it begins with ablution. And remember that Allah has said in great detail about ablution, about the different ways of doing ablution. In Surah Maida, verse 7, the first part of the verse goes in this way. Is said the words are that, O people, when you get up to go towards the salat, you should wash your faces and also wash your hands, your arms up to the elbows, and rub your hands over your head, and wash your feet up to the ankles. And here the words up to the elbows and up to the ankles means that includes the elbows and includes the ankles as well. They should also be washed. And then further detail is also found in this verse and also in some subsequent verses. Today Imam Sahib is saying, let us look at some hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and learn some more about this. In the first tradition, as reported by Abu Malik Ashri radhiyallahu anhu, that the Holy Prophet ﷺ once said, At-tahuru shatrul imani, that purity or cleanliness is the half of faith. So if faith is divided into two, then one of the parts are going to be of cleanliness. And for this purpose, before the beginning of salat, we have been commanded to perform an ablution which cleanses the body, which leads to the cleansing of the mind, and which also again leads to the purity of the soul. So before the salat, the preparation that should be done in order to make oneself alert mentally and spiritually, for that ablution has been assigned. In the second tradition, Hazrat Usman bin Affan radhiyallahu anhu relates that once the Holy Prophet ﷺ addressed the companions and said, and Imam Sahib is saying that this was the blessed way of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that sometimes he would give advice, and sometimes he would, before he gave the advice, he would say something else to prepare the companions. He would say, shall I tell you this or not? And obviously the companions are always eager and needy to learn matters of Islam from the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So in this tradition as well, it says that the Holy Prophet ﷺ asked them that, shall I not inform you of something which would make your sins become separate from you and your status raise high? At this, the companions immediately responded with, Qalu bala ya Rasulullah, that, O Prophet of Allah, of course, please let us know. So it is a very wise method. Sometimes people are half asleep or nodding, etc., and they're not paying attention. If you give them an advice at that time, it won't work properly because their full attention is not diverted to you. So in this way, when the companions were alerted and when they paid full attention to Holy Prophet ﷺ, then the Holy Prophet ﷺ explained 3 matters to them which are very important to understand and to know. the first thing he said was that to do wuzu, or to do ablution, and to do it properly, the way it is supposed to be done, alal makarihi, that despite the fact that doing something like that, doing it makes one uncomfortable. So sometimes when one wakes up from sleep, for example, one doesn't feel like washing immediately, or if it is cold and there is no warm water and one has to put one's hands in cold water and to clean one's nose and mouth and face, and cleaning the feet with cold water, then on many dispositions, this is very tough. Some people stop themselves from doing this because they're unwell, or some just do this because they are lazy. So at such occasions, you should remember that to perform the ablution properly, by keeping in mind all the instructions, despite the fact that you don't feel like doing it, or it makes it difficult or uncomfortable, then this is something from which the Holy Prophet ﷺ gave us the glad tidings that it erases one's defects, and one's status is raised. And the second matter the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned was to go to the mosque extensively. So if the further one comes towards the mosque, the further one walks towards the mosque, it erases their sins one by one. At each step, their sins are erased. So this is, and at every stage, at every step, Allah raises one's status. And then the third matter the Holy Prophet ﷺ explained at this occasion was that after offering one salat, to be waiting for the next salat. This explains one of the characteristics of a true believer, that when he comes towards Allah, he bows his head and he performs prostration, and he sits and he prays and stands and prays. Then he feels he desires to keep returning towards the mosque again and again, and to go further and further ahead in these spiritual enjoyments. So in another tradition we heard before was that in that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that they true believers are those whose hearts are hanging in the mosques. They wait for the next salat after they finished one salat. So after saying these three things, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that these matters are the sentinels that one is supposed to appoint as guards around one's borders. In the olden days, people used to have horses with rides who were there to guide one's castles, etc. And it's the same thing here. So this is what protects one's boundaries. And the instruction in the Holy Quran that you should keep horses on your guarding horses on your boundaries, this is one of those ways of doing that. And it takes one from the committing of sins into the protecting a castle of goodness. In the next tradition reported by Hazrat Aisha Zanha is that the Holy Prophet ﷺ instructed that the using of a toothbrush results in the earning the pleasure of Allah. So with reference to salat, to clean the mouth and to clean it properly, and also to clean one's nose, this is a part of faith. And this tradition tells us it is reported by Aisha Zanha that to cleanse the mouth with a brush is a way to clean the mouth, and it is the way to earn Allah's pleasure. So Allah's pleasure can be earned, can be enjoyed by brushing one's teeth. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ's own practice is very clear from his own practice. He would to either clean with a brush or to clean with a finger is an important part of salat. If you ever have had the experience of standing next to someone who hasn't brushed their teeth, and the smell that comes, the way it makes you feel, you can imagine that something that hurts you or causes you discomfort, then in the traditions it tells us that angels keep away from such a person as well. It causes angels a discomfort as well. Now we hear about how the Holy Prophet himself used to perform his ablution. So the next tradition is reported by Hazrat Usman bin Affan anhu. He himself practiced this action where he asked someone to bring him a container of water, and then he used the water to wash his hands 3 times. So remember that this is all of these actions of ablution, to clean the face, to clean the arms, the feet, everything should be performed 3 times. And one shouldn't do it once or twice. This is wrong. So he washed his hands 3 times, and then he took some water and he put his hand inside the vessel that the water was in, and then he rinsed his mouth and cleaned his teeth and also cleaned his nose, and it has been mentioned briefly, and then he cleaned his face 3 times. So again, this should be remembered, that cleaning the face should also be done 3 times so that no part of it stays dry. And then his arms as well, he washed ilal mirfaqaini, up to the ankle, the elbows, and the word ila means that the elbows should be included. And salasa mirarin, he did this 3 times. So repeatedly the word 3 is used here, 3, because this is very important. And then Usman Zanho rubbed his hands over his head, and then he washed both of his feet 3 times properly. So washing one's feet by cleaning with between the toes, he did it properly. So to do all of these things properly, these are the essential parts of ablution. And then he washed his feet 3 times up to the up to the ankles. So one must wash the ankles as well. We shouldn't leave the ankles. There was another tradition which says that the companions were on a journey, and it was the time for salat, and everyone started to perform their ablutions, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ saw that one companion, while performing his ablution quickly, he left his heel dry. The Holy Prophet ﷺ immediately called to him and told him to clean his heels. So in everything they were fortunate enough to receive the Holy Prophet ﷺ's direct instructions. And then after that, Usman Zanhu said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said this, that after he showed how to do the ablution properly, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that whoever prays like this, like I have just shown you, then he offers 2 rakats of salat. Then, and during this time his ablution had not broken, then all of his sins that he had performed before that time, they are all forgiven by the grace of Allah. Imam Sahib was saying that we've only mentioned a few things, so this tells us that we should undertake the spiritual journey of salat by going through ablution properly, and we should do it in accordance to all the different details of it, and we should perform it to the best of our ability, and this is an essential part of this journey towards salat. And through this, one gets the purity and cleanliness that one is required to attain the nearness of Allah during salat. So may Allah enable us to act in accordance to these traditions. Ameen summa ameen.